In a minute. Okay. The Zoom recording is on.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. And every day we rise is a great day to be alive. And welcome to the Seven Cities Forums of Hampton Road presents Portsmouth Coffee Talk. My name is James Slim Overton, and my co-hosts, Leah Drake Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman. Good morning, co-host.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Another Monday morning.
Another Monday morning.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yes,
Like I
yes,
said, whatever that means.
yes.
But anyway, we're here this morning, and before we get started with our guest, the Colonel has a disclaimer he likes to put on. It's basically aimed at him.
Yes, yes. So let me get that out of the way. And the views expressed on this show are that of the host and the guest, and not of the radio station. So let's get out of the way. So we don't want to be put in Facebook jail.
Well, I'm glad of that, Colonel, and I'm glad that you're going to be on your best behavior today because this is
Yes.
Women in History Month, and we have two lovely young ladies on this morning. We are so happy this morning to have Miss Cynthia Morrison, who's the clerk of the circuit courts for the city of Portsmouth, as well as Yolanda Bird. We're just so happy to have you both here this morning. Yolanda Boyd-Doughtry. I took you back to your high school days, huh?
That's okay. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. We're just so happy to have both of you here this morning during this Women in History Month. And so, James, you wanted to start, did you?
Go ahead, you can start. You can start.
Okay. All right. So I noticed some exciting things are going on in the circuit court's office. And I know we're so happy to have you here so that you can share that information with the public, because I know I learned so much when I took an intern to Cynthia Morrison's office, and Cynthia took us on a tour, and I learned so much more of what was going on in the clerk's office than I knew before. So I want to say welcome. And if you have some opening words you'd like to share with us, please do so.
Good morning. Good morning. And thank you so much for inviting us to join you this morning. And of course, Portsmouth Circuit Court Clerk's Office is in fact the keeper of the records for the citizens of Portsmouth. I've been in this position doing this job since 2001, and I enjoy every minute of it. One of the things I'd just like to say is many people think that court, especially circuit court in particularly, is just court. But if you're in the clerk of circuit court's office, you have so many more duties that don't necessarily relate to the courts. For example, our land record department, which is where all of the records that pertain to any land transaction in the city of Portsmouth resides. People go to the city assessor's office and they think that they can determine who owns a piece of property by looking at the assessor's records. Wrong. They merely want to know who's paying the taxes. If you want to know who owns it, you have to come to the office of the clerk of circuit court. Our probate department, which many of our residents, when they lose a loved one, have to visit. And our staff, and Ms. Doughtry is a part of that. She is a supervisor and the head of that department. We work diligently to assist our citizens whenever they lose a loved one with all of the paperwork that is associated with handling that estate. We also have marriage licenses. If you want to get married in the state of Virginia, you must purchase a license from the office of the clerk of circuit court in any jurisdiction. Without that, the marriage is not legal. We also have concealed weapon permits. And in today's time, we got a lot of folk who want them. So they visit us regularly. We have other records also, minutes and plats. The oldest records, if you want to look at who paid taxes back in the day on property, we are the keeper of that record. And one of the things that the younger people find most interesting about those old records is the fact that They were divided by race, white and colored. That's the way the books are labeled. And of course, in today's time, we're all just citizens of Portsmouth.
Okay.
So it is an interesting place. We have one very, very, very historical document that had been here evidently for quite some time. But when I became clerk in 2001, it was laying in the back, frame all broken. And I looked at it and it looked old, but I wasn't quite sure. So we had the Library of Virginia to come in and authenticate it. And we got a grant from them to preserve it. And it is an original survey of the city of Portsmouth that was done by request of Colonel Crawford himself. And when you look at it, you see how much our city has grown. Even though we're the smallest of the cities in the 757, if you look at that survey of 1752, you will see that Portsmouth itself, when it was founded, it was never a county, it was a city, was just the Old Town area, just Old Town and nothing else. So many of the neighborhoods that we currently see as part of the city of Portsmouth, they did not exist in 1752 when this city was founded. They were actually a part of Norfolk County. So with that being said, most folk know about our civil and our criminal division. And they play an integral part. Of course, if you break the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia, you wound up in our criminal division. And I always say to young people, I don't want to see your name coming in here on any paperwork that belongs in that criminal division. The civil division, name change, divorce, lawsuit because you had an accident, all of those handled by our civil division, along with many more. With that being said, I'm going to stop talking because I'm a talker.
Yolanda, did you have anything that you want to share? Because I know I've been privy to utilizing the services of the probate area of the court on 2 occasions. And Yolanda has always been so professional and really just walking us through. I mean, she walked us through like we were in kindergarten, but she gave us everything that we needed in order to be prepared to take care of the properties of our loved ones who had passed. So Yolanda, I want to thank you, first of all, for that. But anything else you would like to say, Yolanda?
In the probate division, one of the most important things people need to remember is to make sure that your loved one do create a will. Go to an attorney's office and see a will. When your loved one passed away, a lot of times we get phone calls and referencing, is the will on file? We do not record any wills prior to death. We don't record any wills prior to death. So one of the things that we want our citizens to realize is that when your loved one do a will, make sure that someone know where that original will is. When you come down to our office, you will need to bring the original will, the death certificate. We also, from time to time, we used to pre-COVID host probate workshops. Once the numbers go back down, we will begin to do probate workshops again in the community. That's about it.
Well, good. Well, I know that you all are doing some great works there because, like I said, with the probate office, I've had the privilege of utilizing your services, as well as when the sheriff had the reentry program going on. Cynthia Morrison and her team came over to talk to our fellows who were in reentry, to tell them about what they needed to do to get back on course as far as taking care of those fines that are due to the clerk's office as a result of their incarceration. And I know that you all helped a lot of the young men because you gave them the information that they needed so they can go out and get started on a different path. So we thank you for that. James, I don't know if you had any questions, or Colonel?
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to say first, just a minute, Colonel, I'd just like to say first, historically, the clerks of court in the city of Portsmouth have been, as James Brown say, it's been a man's world. But Cynthia was the first woman to hold this office. And I think that's important to bring out during Women's History Month, and the first African-American, of course. to hold this office. And, you know, and when you go back to, I was looking at some of the other things, because it's a lot of things people don't really realize that you all do in there. I guess a lot of people do that are into the handgun, but you all issue the concealed handgun permits in your office. And what, I mean, do the people that come there for that, do they have to go through, well, they already have their license per se, right? Or do they have to go through the background checks like they would if they went to a gun shop to purchase?
Yes, we work in conjunction with the Portsmouth Sheriff's Department. They conduct the background checks for us. And yes, they have to pass the background checks. And we like to remind the citizens that if you already have a concealed weapon permit, it is to your advantage to make sure that you don't let it expire. Because say, for example, when you first got it, you did online gun training. That was acceptable, but the Code of Virginia has now changed. If you keep your permit renewed, you don't have to show me proof of gun training. But if it expires and you come in and you want to get a permit, expired means start the process all over again. It's not a renewal. And so if you did online, we're going to tell you we cannot accept that. You're going to need to go to in-person gun training. And that's critical, because a lot of our citizens, they, you know, oh, I just forgot, and they walk in the door. And, you know, prior to the change in the code, we could go ahead and use the old records and let you do the paperwork and send it to the sheriff for your background check, and everything was great. But now we're going to just send it to the sheriff for the background check, and you need to do in-person gun training.
So is there any part of that process that says that you have to disclose what you actually, why you actually need a concealed weapon? You know, do you have to say like I'm a detective or I'm in private? You know, any citizen that wants to conceal his weapon can come there and get it. There's no real requirement.
That's correct. There is no requirement. Any citizen who is at least 18 years of age and a resident of the city of Portsmouth can come to our office and apply for a concealed weapon permit. But of course, we're going to give you a questionnaire that's about, it's a full page and the back and front. Citizens should answer that truthfully, because if you make a mistake and you don't quite answer the question correctly, I can assure you it will be picked up, and then your request, your petition will be denied. It will, you know, it just will, because you must answer all of those questions honestly, because we're not going to just take your word.
Now, last question on that issue. If you don't have a concealed weapon permit and you conceal your weapon out in the public or anywhere you go, what are the what happens, you know, what are the ramifications that you might face if you are caught concealing a weapon, but you don't have that concealed weapon license?
You'll be prosecuted because you're breaking the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's as simple as that. If the police officers stop you and you have it concealed and you don't have that permit, you will be prosecuted.
Okay, I know, and that's simple for most people to understand, but you know, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. And a lot of people will claim that I didn't know, you know, so.
You better hope you have a police officer who's kind and having a good day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I tell you, and especially for folks of color, I wouldn't suggest that you be riding around with a concealed weapon and not having that permit on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because some people might feel like I have a license to carry, so that covers that. And you know, you'd be surprised of who doesn't know what, you know, when it comes down to it.
Exactly.
Well, you know, Virginia is an open carry state. So as long as you have it, if it's in your car, if it's laying out in the open, then you're okay. in terms of the concealed weapon part of it.
Mhm.
Now, you may not be okay with the police officer who stops you and you got a loaded gun laying on the seat of your car.
Exactly.
So, but it is an open carry state. So, you can walk down the street with a strap to your hip. You're not breaking the law as long as it is out in the open. But ladies, if you put it in your purse,
Right.
you need to have a concealed carry permit.
Mhm.
It's not in plain view, it's considered concealed.
Mhm.
Colonel?
Yeah, you know what? And I understand exactly what you're talking about. There's a movement across the country. There's 20 red states out there, meaning Republican governors and legislatures have gotten away with the need for concealed weapon permits, and they just let everybody have a gun. But I will tell you, I have been around guns all my life, spent 36 years in the military, shot expert, got my concealed weapons permit. And I will tell you, as a Black man out here, my permit is different from my contemporaries. It's somebody that looks like Slim's shirt. And I hate to say it, but we do have two justice departments out here in America. And even if I follow the law, I still have, as a Black man, I still have to be careful, especially nowadays, in the age of Trumpism, and we have a new state attorney general that wants to go back to the days of lock us all up. And then but my question would be, now that I've gotten that off my chest, is could you explain the differences in the levels of court? You talked about circuit court and district court, and is that on the state level and the federal level? And what are we talking about there?
Okay. In Virginia, we actually have 4 levels of court. General district, which is the lowest level of court in your local jurisdiction, is juvenile and domestic relations court, and also general district. Most people are familiar with those 2 courts because they're what I call the citizens courts, where you get to come and you can have a conversation with the judge. Most people don't always have an attorney, especially in general district. We often get an opportunity to visit that court because of traffic violations. That is one of the courts over there. You have a civil division that handles landlord-tenant things in general district, and you do it pro se, or you represent yourself because you're just having a conversation with the judge. They're going to ask you questions. Then when you get to circuit court, which is, and by the way, the clerks in general district court are appointed by the judges. That's not true for circuit court. In circuit court, the citizens get to determine who will be the clerk of circuit court. It is an elected position, one of 5 constitutional officers in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's in our state laws and constitution that office exists. When you get to circuit court, you are now dealing with the highest court in the local jurisdiction. In essence, if you don't like what general district did, the ruling that judge gave, you appeal it and it comes over to circuit court. We do have some things that citizens come in and they want to handle it themselves. They want to do it pro se. And what they don't understand is we are not a forms court. Circuit court was never really designed for citizens to easily represent themselves. Judges in circuit court don't want to hear a discussion about how you feel and what you thought. They want you to actually do, that's right, points of law. Can you quote the code section or the law case that gives precedent to your case? But they still come and they do have the right to operate pro se, but it is extremely difficult. One of the things we have concerns with as clerks is when they come from the general district court, they want us to give them a form in like in a civil case. I'm filing a lawsuit because I was in a car accident and I want to sue this trucking company that hit me. We have no forms that we can give you to do that. You know, you're going to have to figure out how to write your suit up. You're going to have to figure out, we can give you some input about what you have to do. For example, you got to give the other party notice. You know, well, how do I do that? Well, you know, you have to figure out the legal format of how to write up that notice. We can't do that for you by law. We are not attorneys. Therefore, we cannot practice law for you. And they get very, very upset. JDR, my children have been taken away from me and I want to appeal it over here. So they come and they want us to give them a form. Well, Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court has a whole court services unit with plenty of forms to give you. And they're going to sit there and talk you through the process and help you fill them out. We cannot do that in circuit court. We have a limited number of things that we can give you forms for. I'm going to let Ms. Doughtry tell you about that.
Okay. In the civil department, we do have forms for if you receive a judgment. If you were suing someone and the judge granted you judgment on someone, let's say someone owed you some money and the judge awarded you the judgment, you can come to the civil department and you can file a garnishment. We do have forms for garnishment. If your license were taken away, let's just say your license were taken away because you was driving on a suspended license, we do have forms for that. If you want to change your name, we do have forms for you to change your name. We also have forms for what else? An expungement. If you were charged with a crime and you were found not guilty, or your case were it was dismissed, you can come down to our office and you can file for a petition for an expungement. We have forms for those. Each one of those forms, there is a cost. You must live in the city of Portsmouth. You must live in the city of Portsmouth. You cannot come down to our office if you live in the city of Chesapeake. Let's see, what else do we have forms for?
Well, the divorce.
Yes, if you and your spouse have decided that you can no longer be married to one another, we do have a divorce package. It goes into great detail explaining everything that you must do. We also provide you with the forms. With that actually one, we also provide you with a notice. And we will set that court date for you as well if you need one. What else do we have forms for? Yeah, that's pretty much it that we have forms for in our civil department.
And that pro se divorce package that she's talking about could only be presented because the judges of the circuit court allowed us to provide that for our citizens. And I forgot, it is one other. Some of our older citizens may have been born during the time when midwives were delivering children at home, that the bulk of us were delivered by midwives. If that's the case and your birth record never got recorded with the Division of Vital Records, we do have a package that we can give you that allows you to go through that process of getting your birth record recorded. And that was done also because the circuit court judges allowed us to do that to assist citizens. If they don't agree and the Supreme Court of Virginia did not provide a form, then we're going to tell you, you can go to the law library that's at the main branch of the Portsmouth Library downtown on Court Street, and you can research there on how to do whatever legal proceeding you're trying to do in our civil division. And every once in a while, we get criminal cases where the defendant decides, I don't want a lawyer, I'm going to represent myself. And most of the time, when they do that, the court is going to automatically appoint an attorney to assist them. Because as I said, in circuit court, the judges want you to discuss points of law, not how I felt about it. And I think you need points of loss. So they'll appoint an attorney to assist you in that process. But you do have the right to say, I want to represent myself as a defendant. Most people don't.
You know, you got great points. One question I would have is, I guess there's a quote they're saying that anybody who represents themselves in the court of law is a fool. And so it goes back to saying, get a lawyer. So now that I've said that, is there an association of clerks across the Commonwealth? And then what is the percentage of Black females that are holding positions like yourselves across there? Is any statistics like that?
Yes, the Virginia Circuit Court Clerks Association is that association. There are 120 circuits in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I have been fortunate enough to be president of that association. And that right now, the majority of people of color who are actually clerks and who are females, we have increased greatly since I became a clerk in 2001. I don't know the percentage right off the top of my head, but I can honestly tell you that down here in the Hampton Roads area, the majority of, and when I say Hampton Roads, I guess we can go up from here, the 757 up towards Petersburg. For example, the clerk in Hampton is a woman of color. The clerk in Newport News is a woman of color. Of course, here in Portsmouth, you have me, a woman of color. Next largest area is Roanoke, the city of Roanoke. There is a woman of color. In Surrey County, Emporia, Campbell County, there are women of color. And on Accomack County, over on the Eastern Shore, we have a gentleman, a man of color. And actually, he was the first person of color to be elected to be president of the Virginia Court Clerks Association. Up until that Sam's election, there had never been. But you do find throughout Virginia now more women who are clerks of court. When I came in 2001, it was maybe about 5. And now I can't even count the numbers. The larger areas like Prince William County has a woman, a young white woman who got elected. And I'm proud to say that our own Senator L. Louise Lucas and Mamie Lott went up there and campaigned for, and she won, got elected. Yeah.
Listen, as you all are talking about all the great things going on in the clerk's office, I think it's important for all of those military individuals to realize that they can file their DD 214 with the clerk's office. And should they pass, at least the family would know where they can obtain these records without having to go through the Veterans Office in order to secure those records. So they are stored there in the Portsmouth Clerk's office. Now, and there's one other thing, marriage licenses. I tell you what, I see a lot of weddings going on in the courthouse. So individuals can also come to you to get their marriage license as well. Now, do you make those arrangements for them to get the ceremony going, or?
No, when they purchase their license, we give them a list. If they want to have a civil marriage, we give them a list of the individuals who have been appointed by the judges of the circuit court to be marriage commissioners. And marriage commissioners can perform civil ceremonies for them. And of course, the records, when they come back, and we stress when they come back, because we have had a few blips where people get married and they never return the copy of the licenses. Copy A and B must come back to the office of the clerk of circuit court, because if it's not recorded, it didn't happen. And so we've had some of those where people have gotten married and for whatever reason, it never made it back. There is a process that we can go through here in the court, and it does require a petition in the court, and the judge has to enter an order authorizing me to get that license recorded if it's never returned. So for all of you out there who happen to get married, you need to remember the instructions that we give you. Copy A and B have to be returned here. And we give you, when you come in, a certified copy. And certification is critical on documents that you want to present as being records of the court. That's a $2 fee for that certification, 50 cents for the copy, $2.50. The certification part says that I am the holder. It has my name on it. A copy testate means that I am the holder of the original document and that it is an official document of the office of the clerk of circuit court here in the city of Portsmouth, because we have to put the seal of the court on it. And that is accepted as the same as the original. If you just get a copy, it will not be accepted as the same as the original, because, you know, in the day of Xerox and computers and stuff, people don't know whether it's fake or not.
And for those individuals who may need or have lost a copy of their marriage license, they can come to you and they can secure a copy for themselves.
Yeah,
that's right. But it should be certified. The 50-cent copy is not going to work if you having to do anything legal with it, because they're going to tell you, no, where's that raised seal?
Okay.
And when we say the seal of the court, when people get that copy and they feel it, it's embossed. It's not just a stamp on seal. It's actually embossed. And every one of my deputy clerks have to have a seal in order to function in this office.
Okay.
Let me add, let me get in, because y'all, hey, squeeze me out. Let me add too, if you mark on there, you've been married before, and I think this is still the case. I don't know, you can let me know. If you mark on there, you've been married before, especially if you've been out of state. That means you have to prove you're divorced. Do you have to still have to do that? You don't have to do that anymore?
Not in Virginia. Not in Virginia. There are some states that will require you to bring in your final divorce decree. But here in Virginia, if you mark that you have been divorced before, what happens is you're going to take an oath. And once you answer that oath is asking you, are you married? Are you currently married? So you should, when you take that oath, you're pretty much saying that you were single at that time.
Okay. That happened to me in the 80s. So I guess, you know, since then it's changed. But Yolanda, I want to take you back to the probate and wills and everything. One of the messiest things in the court system is families and estates. And explain to us how important it is, if you can, to have those discussions of what you want and have those documents filed in the court, as far as, especially if a house is involved and you don't want the house to go through the probate system, which costs will be involved, but you can avoid that if you have those conversations ahead of time and make sure, if you have to add somebody to the deed or something like that, to keep that house from going through there. Depending on the value of the house, it could cost you a lot. So explain.
Okay. Some ways to avoid probate is, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have beneficiaries on all of your assets. That's the first thing. Make sure you update your beneficiaries on your life insurance policies. If you have a bank account, make sure that you list a POD, payable on death. That means at the time of your death, only thing your loved one will have to do is take in a certified copy, a certified death certificate to the bank, and the bank will release those funds for you. For real estate, if it is a husband and wife, it is so important to have right of survivorship on your deed. If you have right of survivorship on your deed, if one of them pass away, the property will go to the sole survivor. For your stock, if you have any stock, make sure you have TOD, which is transfer on death. Those are 4 ways. If you have a joint account, and one of the members should pass away, whatever that's left in that bank account is going to go to the sole survivor. Those are some ways to avoid going to probate. If you have a house, and you do not have a will, and you have children, your house will go to all of your children, which is called heir property. The problem with heir property is sometimes you only have one person that's paying the taxes. And that person that's paying the taxes think that is their house. Just because you pay the real estate taxes on that property, it does not mean that is your home. If you pass away without a will and you have children, the house will go to all of the children in equal portions. No one has more authority than another. If the spouse is deceased, the property will go to all of the children, which we now call heir property. And one of the bad things about that, let's say a person has, they're single or divorced or widowed, and they have 5 children. But one of those children have passed away and they have children. Now that property belongs to all 4 of the survivor children and those nieces and nephews. So now you have like 8 people all owning a piece of property. And sometimes they cannot agree. And then sometimes people want to have their other children, their nieces and nephews move into the property. So it does create chaos when you pass away and you do not have a will.
And also if something happens like that and there are those judgments sitting out there.
Oh, most
and you have to be aware of those judgments that are sitting out there that can come after all that bank account, that property. But if you know about the judgment, you have the opportunity probably to call those people and say, hey, let's work this thing out, because they're going to come after all of their money. It's
right.
You know,
with the same scenario that I just gave, if let's just say it's the wife passed away. Let's just say your mother passed away and she has 5 children. And one of those children, we tend to have, there's one in every family, one that maybe haven't paid their child support, one that may have judgments from credit card payments or adopted bills. At the time when they come into our office, what we're going to do is a document called a real estate affidavit. What that does is that transfer the property to all of the children. Okay. Now that property is in all of the children's names, every judgment that child has is now on that property. It doesn't mean that the property cannot be sold. It just means that the person that has the judgments, their share is going to go towards all those judgments being paid before they receive anything. And a lot of times there's nothing for them to receive because all of those judgments has to be paid first.
And one thing about criminal judgments, which a lot of times people don't realize, there's no 20-year rule on those. If you owe the Commonwealth of Virginia, because that's what a criminal judgment is, you owe the state of Virginia. And we have a record of that, it's going to attach on to that property. That's why you can get a judgment over in General District Court, and they're going to come over and pay $20. They have it filed here in Circuit Court because they want it to attach on to that real estate. And I'm going to require, first of all, if you sell it and there's a criminal judgment outstanding, I have to do a form to release that for the purpose of the sale of the real estate only. And guess what? Your share of that property, I'm going to get paid for those criminal judgments, else you are not going to get a release. That, that's going to be the requirement. And we work that out with the realtor so that when you go to closing, whatever you owe the state of Virginia is going to come out of your share. So if you thought you were going to get your $10,000 and you owe me $5,000, I'm going to get $5,000 of it, and you will get the rest.
Yeah, we encountered that with one of the people who was in our reentry program, as far as the judgments, and then a parent died and they were heir to the property, and it was just caused such a big mess when you don't take care of the things that you're supposed to take care of. Colonel?
You know what? And I was listening to that, and the scenario with the 5 kids, and the one of the kids that died had the 3 kids, I guess nieces and nephews. So you're saying that now the property is divided by 8, or would the other 3 kids get 1/3 of the 1/5 share?
They will inherit their parents' portion. So
Yes.
if it's 5, let's just say it's 5 kids, they all
Right.
own 1/5 of the property. But if one of them passed away, their children will inherit their portion, their
Right.
1/5.
Yeah.
And just add on to that, you know that there is no expiration on estates. I got hit with one that this person died back in like the 1960s, early 60s. And the code, when we do probate, over the years, the code has changed. So what is in effect is whatever was the Code of Virginia at the time of death. And there was years ago when you were a husband and wife, if the husband died, the property didn't go to the wife. And you know how strong Black women can be. That's my husband, that's my property. So mother insisted that it was her property. The children knew it wasn't. So they didn't do anything. They let mom, you know, have her way. And over the years, and we did a list of heirs. I will never forget it. That was actually 2 pages long.
Ooh.
Because it had become heir property.
Right.
And it was a large family. Some of the children had died and they had children, and it was just, it was really interesting to see. But the young lady who needed to put it to record, who was a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church at the time, which is where I was a member at, she got it all done. I don't know how in the world she found out all the information, but she did. And it was 2 tight pages of heirs to move a piece of property that was located over on London Boulevard, which now has a nice restaurant on it. So it was worth it to her because, you know, the commercial property, when they want it, they pay you a nice penny for it.
But you know, in a
Let
case
me,
like that, what if you can't find the other heirs? You know, your office had to go find the heirs. Say
No. The citizen has to,
Right.
and they have to list them as, still list their names, and they can say address unknown.
Right.
Ladies, I just got a request from one person on Facebook that says, do you need an appointment if you want to come down to your office and go over some particulars or get a better understanding of some property matters?
It depends on the complexity of it.
Right.
If it's just general questions, then no appointment is necessary. When you come in, if my land records department can handle it, if you request to speak to me, if I'm in the office, I'm going to stop what I'm doing because I understand who I work for, and it's the citizens of Portsmouth. So I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to come over there and get you, and we're going to come in my office and we can discuss it. But if it is very complex, and it's going to take some time, we would rather that you get an appointment so that we can do the research and then talk to you instead of, I guess, and I think we've got everything together so that we can sit down and talk with you.
And I wanted to get into briefly judgments, because I ran into this a lot with people when I was a realtor, when they're trying to sell their property, and some people might not know they have judgments, or they might have had judgments and paid them off, but they weren't marked in your office as satisfied. And I've seen that a lot with mortgage companies. You pay 15, 20, 30 years, and then you know you paid it off, and the mortgage company is in California, and they don't send that certificate of satisfaction into the clerk's office. So as far as on record, your house is still under that mortgage, and when you try to sell it or do anything, that pops up. So it's good to check every once in a while. A lot of times you know you have judgments, or you know you have paid them off, but sometimes people don't know that they have judgments on the books because they might have been tried to contact you and couldn't find you, so they just went on and put a judgment on the book. So it's good to check your records, especially if you get ready to do something significant like sell your home or apply for a loan or something like that. Make sure, because it could be a lot of judgments up there that are not marked satisfied that you know you paid off.
Right.
So what is the process if I come into the clerk's office and I see that my house, I know it's paid off, but it's not marked, you know, and a lot of times, what if a situation comes up and that company is no longer in business, you know, that mortgage company? What do you have to, what do you do? Bring in proof of your paperwork can make sure they're satisfied?
If we do not have that certificate of satisfaction recorded, you're on your own. That's just it. And, you know, a lot of times now banks, the original bank that you may have gotten it with has now sold that mortgage to another company. And it is really difficult on the citizens, but there is nothing that we can do to assist you. You're on your own and you're going to have to research it and track it down. When we get companies that have been out of business for a long time,
Like Portsmouth General Hospital.
yeah, I can't satisfy a judgment. I literally do not have the authority to do anything with an outstanding judgment concerning real estate except for a criminal judgment. All the others, the citizen is going to be responsible for tracking down that information. If nothing else can be resolved, then it's going to go to court, because I can't mark something satisfied just based on your word. It has to be the person who got the judgment against you or the company that got the judgment against you. And just because they're out of business does not give me the authority to just automatically say it's satisfied.
Or if you have receipts stating you paid it, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, so when you have that ceremonial mortgage burning, don't burn the mortgage. But if you know you paid it off the next day or within the next few weeks, you know, give them an opportunity to satisfy. Make sure you contact them, you know, because the next day they're probably still, you know, they haven't sold it yet or whatever, but they're still in operation. Make sure that they do their due diligence in making sure they send that satisfaction into it, because I saw a lot of people get hung up like that. And like I said, you don't want to go to court for your own house. I mean, that you had paid off, you know, you paid off.
Yeah, and you can call our office and just call and ask for the Land Records Department. Tell us the address. We will go in and check and see if that certificate of satisfaction has been recorded. If it hasn't been recorded, then you like Ms. Overton said, you got to jump on it.
Right.
And you know that you need to get on the phone right away and call that company, like he said, right away, and request that they mail that certificate of satisfaction in. And it's really hard to do sometimes if you wait 20 years, you discover that the certificate of satisfaction was never recorded.
That is a good point. Matter of fact, I wrote a note down there. I'm over. That's tomorrow's project.
Just call us, because we will go into our record and check it and get back to you. If we can't do it right that moment, we'll get a phone number from you. We will check those records and we will let you know whether or not we have that certificate of satisfaction, because it is critical.
Yeah.
Some of your most valuable assets for probate is normally the value of that home, that property.
Good
Well,
point.
James, were you about to say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. On a different note, I mean, and as the people are saying on Facebook, this is all great information, all information that they need to have. We all need to have. But on a personal note, I just want to thank Ms. Morrison. I know I have taken interns to her office, young people who are in college, and she gracefully took those young people through her office and showed them each area of work within the clerk's office, and really stemmed some thoughts in some of them, because one young man from Virginia State was just so happy, and he was able to go back and write his paper for his senior year based upon what he experienced in his visit to the clerk's office. And also, on another personal note, during the Thanksgiving holidays. We, the sheriff's office, partnered with the clerk's office, and Yolanda and we went out giving Thanksgiving baskets along with Undersheriff Marvin Waters. So we are thankful for the partnership that the sheriff office has with the clerk's office. And as I stated before, Cynthia Morrison and her staff, when we had reentry going, which we plan to start reentry again, Ms. Morrison, they came over to explain to the young men who were a part of the program what they needed to know in order to get themselves back on the right track once they left our facilities. So I want to thank you for each of those occasions. And I know each time I've called either one of you, you're always available. So I'm thankful for that. And the citizens need to know how available you all are also. And it's up to them sometimes to take the initiative to come down to see for themselves. And I just thank you for what you do. Colonel?
It is our pleasure.
Well, you know what? We're always out here thinking about or publicly thanking those in uniform, but we don't think and to give thanks for our public servants like the two of you. And I'd like to be the first one to say thank you for what you do and the services that you've done in the past and what you're going to do in the future for our citizens of this great city and for this great state. Yes. Thank you.
And I like to say to Leah's point, encourage people to, when you're making those trips to King's Dominion, make sure you make some trips or call the clerk of court and set up something to bring those young kids to the clerk of court's office. Because once you plant those seeds, when they grow up, these conversations we have in now, they will already know, what they need to do in order to protect their homes, protect their, whatever needs to be protected. And they'll know where to go and know how accessible you all are. So, bring those little tours through there of our young folks, and expose them to things that they don't normally get exposed to. It's harder when you're an adult and you're trying to relay certain information to someone, not taking it away, because sometimes our heads get a little thick as we get older. But thanks for that disclaimer.
I'm trying to remember people from the community.
But as we wind down, we really appreciate you coming on and getting up early. I know it's early, and I don't know, I guess you're in the office now, so you will continue on. But I'd like to make a shout out to Mr. Walker that works in your office. Is he still there?
Yes.
And you know why I'm shouting him out? Because he's probably the only what in your office?
Male? Is he the only male?
He is. If there's anybody else out there that's male that wants to apply.
Yeah, I said that to say because last time you were on and you mentioned that it's open to everybody. You just don't get those males applying, and a lot of them I think don't think that that that's where they can work. But it's open for all of them. It's just the way it falls at the time. But males get in there, get in there and get those jobs.
Yeah, just make sure
when they're available.
Data input skills, regardless, male or female, make sure you have data input skills. In essence, if there's a typing class or a computer class and you're in high school, you need to take it because, it's not required that you have a bachelor's degree to come to work here. Ms. Doughtry started out of high school working here in the office of Clerk of Circuit Court, earned her bachelor's from Norfolk State University and her master's in public administration from Old Dominion University, working right here. She is the future chief deputy clerk come June 1. She will be chief deputy here in this office.
Happy.
She has her master's, her certification as a master deputy clerk here in this office. So you can come if you choose and you have the skill sets out of high school into this office and make it a career.
So Cynthia, she's been with you just as long as she probably was with her parents, huh?
Yeah, she honestly, because when I got there in 2001, she was already there. Okay. She earned all of her degrees working here with me because I made a promise to the citizens that, because I value education, that if you come to work with us here in the Portsmouth Circuit Court office as a young person, we're going to make sure that you get an opportunity to fulfill your goals of getting that education. The
That's
city
great. That's
had a
good.
program where they were
Yes.
tuition assistance. And if you're in the clerk's office, I'm gonna do the paperwork for you to get that
That's right.
money.
Wonderful. That's good.
You
That's
know,
good.
we want
And-
our young people to achieve. And it's a career, not just a job, it's a career.
Mhm.
No, sound like the army.
Yeah.
You also have, it's not just a
Advertising, because
job,
all
it's
us
a
old
career.
folks are ready to retire. I need people.
But you also have those summer interns for the young folks to come through during the summer and come through. And a lot of them go on to do other things, but what a sound base they have coming through the clerk's office. I mean, anything they learn that they can take out and use in the world in a lot of different ways. So, keep that in mind, the summer internship that you offer for our young students. That's high school students and college?
Mainly college students now.
College? Okay.
Yeah, and because we do pay them for their
Okay.
work when they come in, because I don't like the idea of working somebody, because when they come in, they got to work. We train them and they learn about the office, but they're actually doing physical work. So now mainly we take college students in the internship program. We just got a young lady
From Old Dominion University. Yeah, we have one lady from Old Dominion University. We had two ladies that was here part-time, one from Old Dominion University that is now full-time, and another young lady from Virginia Wesley who was here part-time and that is now full-time.
Yeah, one is in the courtroom as a courtroom clerk, and the other one is in our land records department. But they actually started as interns here while they were in college. And like I said, this is a possibility for a career if you like this type of work.
And Cindy, and I'm so thankful to see you doing promotions from within. People who've been with you, oftentimes in a lot of these companies, they will go out searching for others outside of your arena. And I tell you what, I have really had a pleasure working with Yolanda. I'm just excited. I told her I have to hang around in here for her and Undersheriff Marvin Waters, because I'm sure that they're going to do a marvelous job. And I'm just thankful to see her get the promotion, because I know what her capabilities are. And she's shown them on a daily basis. And she's always available and always with a smile. Nothing that I take to her that she tell me, oh, Leah, not now. She jumps right on it and she makes it happen. So I'm so thankful to hear that she will get that promotion. I'm excited for you, Yolanda.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I hope all the citizens out there get to know Yolanda better.
Yes.
Because as I said, all of us, we have a significant number of our staff that are at the point that they are looking towards retirement. And so we're having a tremendous amount of turnover, especially in the next couple of years. And I want them to, I want the citizens to think about, coming in and joining us and work for the citizens of Portsmouth. And we know who our bosses are. As I said, if you're gonna work for me, you gotta understand who you work for. I may be the clerk, but you work for the citizens of Portsmouth. And if you can't do customer service, this is not the place for you, not why I'm here. And I know Yolanda gonna believe the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Cynthia, the absolute last thing as far as COVID protocol for in-person visits, what is it right now at the clerk's
But right
office?
now, we are still operating with masks are required. The jurors who have been coming in during the COVID part, we always required masks. The sheriff's department takes your temperature when you enter the building. Those protocols are still in place. However, when you go to the courtroom, if you're on a jury trial, the actual plexiglass shields that were between each jurors have come down. The judges have taken that down. So I expect that as the numbers continue to decrease, then we may go back to not having to have even masks. But right now, you're still required to wear a mask if you come into the office for services.
Now, for the jury duty, do they ask if they're vaccinated?
No,
They don't. So you don't know
No.
whether they're, oh,
we do not.
okay.
We do not, we even during the COVID, when it was really raging, we did not ask that question. However, on our summons, we do indicate that vaccinations are, a good thing.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
do not ask you to reveal to us whether you are or are not. And
Okay.
we've been very fortunate that we have not had a lot of major outbreaks. Our office looks a little different in that we have a lot of glass all over the place now that protects the staff and the citizens when they're speaking to each other. We used to be very open at that you were face to face, but we now have the glass up all over our office. That will not come down. It costs a pretty penny to have all of that glass installed. So it will stay up, COVID or not. But we still try to make sure that we are able to talk freely with our citizens through the glass.
And there are some COVID-related questions upon entering the building that the Sheriff Department will
Right.
ask you before you come into the building.
Okay, well, thanks again. We appreciate it. And we look forward to having you back because this is one of those subjects that we have to talk about, even if we repeat the information to catch those people that didn't hear it. So we look forward to having you back. So look forward to a call and early wake-up call. Well, join us again at some time during the year because we like to do things periodically.
And also,
especially
James,
information that's
if there's
important
something
as this.
exciting that you're planning within your office, you can let us know that as well. And we can work it around the Coffee Talk show hours. To let the
Yes.
public know what it is that you're planning as well.
And hopefully when COVID is all clear and everything, we'll get a chance to come down there as Portsmouth Coffee Talk and be able to film what we can film and let the citizens know exactly what's going on. A lot of things are automated now. So with the daylight saving times and the warmer weather, we're gonna try to get out more. And so we can show more than just us talking about it. We can show people exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, James,
Well,
and that's so important because there's so much misinformation and misconceptions about what and how the clerk's office is run. So
Yes.
to get that information out to the public would be crucial so that they can see for themselves. A lot of people think it's just a cakewalk. They think that I can just say that I've been an accountant and I can come in and I can do this. Or I've just had this job, I can come in and do this job, but it's so much more involved than what they would even imagine. So I think it is information that we need to get out to the public and let them see for themselves.
Well, thank you all for offering us that opportunity, and we would love to take advantage of it. This is a public office. It's open to the public. The records in our office are open to the public unless they are sealed by order of the court or by action of law. Other than that, everything that we have is available for the public to view. And we don't let you see evidence, of course. That's locked away.
Right.
But short of that, the records themselves, we'd be more than happy to have you to come in and film, talk to our staff and interview them, what it's like to work in a clerk's office. So I love that idea. And whenever you are ready, just reach out to Yolanda or myself and we will make it happen.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
that
Thank
sounds
you.
good. Thank you. Because that's why Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Our community,
In our future.
you all have to have
all
a
right.
Portsmouth Coffee Talk cup. I'm gonna have to come and see you. Okay.
Okay, thanks again. We appreciate it, ladies. Have a
Thank
Thank
great
you
day.
so
Thank
very
you.
much. And
you.
again, congratulations, Yolanda. Well deserved.
you.
Well
Thank
deserved.
you
Yes.
so much.
Congratulations.
And
I
thank you,
appreciate
and thank you, Cindy Morrison, for making such a great decision.
Look, and I'm just enjoying every last minute of it. This is my right hand.
I know that. I know that. So
Mhm.
yeah. So we're just thankful for both of you. Thankful so very much. And
Yeah.
we just look forward to so much more, doing so much more with you in the future. So thank you once again.
And Colonel, give my regards to cousin Tiffany and have a safe
Yeah.
trip home from DC when you get ready.
Yep.
I know
gotta
you
cut
really
short. I gotta take Dante to school here. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And your
All
wife
right.
is online listening to you. So okay. She wanted to
Okay.
make sure you're on your best behavior.
Yeah, okay. Checking on me.
Okay, ladies. Y'all be blessed. Have a great day. And
All right,
James, talk with you later. Have a great day.
Okay.
God bless you,
All
everyone.
righty.
So much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.